Today we are gathered here for some new topic or different topic apart from what we are studying in the syllabus. So Professor Narendra Sakalkar is going to talk about some special topic. It's a concern for all of us, which is global warming. And then apart from the management initiatives, what he is teaching here for almost 5-6 years, different management subjects, economics. But apart from that, he has taken a lot of initiatives in saving the earth. Basically, the approach is that he has different projects. One is the Kashedi project, so I think he will talk some details about that project. So it is basically a young students' involvement, and he conducts that kind of practical approach in going to villages or remote places to grow different kinds of trees and save the earth, basically creating the awareness of global warming. So the title of this topic is where to go from here, and then some small video clip is going to show that if you are proceeding as what we are doing without having to concern to the environment, then where we'll land up in another 10 years or 20 years. So once you see the small video clip, then you will be amazed or really shocked to see that where we are going to land up another 10 or 20 years if we don't take the action today on global warming aspect. So I will request Madam Priya Amle to introduce further about this today's talk and what are the projects conducted by Narendra Sakalkar.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to one and all present here. I'm here to introduce Professor Sakalkar, and I'm really honored that he actually thought me worthy of accomplishing this task. Actually, if you go to see, Professor Sakalkar needs no introduction. He started teaching way back in 1965, decades before most of us were born. Okay? Professor Sakalkar has been associated with I2IT since 1st June 2005 as professor in the field of economics and entrepreneurship. His vast knowledge in the areas of micro and macroeconomics, business statistics, entrepreneurship and Indian culture have helped shape careers not only of students of I2IT but also foreign students who have visited our campus under various exchange programs. Recognizing his contribution in the field of education, he was felicitated this year on Teachers' Day, that is 5th September 2010, by Higher Education Forum Mumbai with an award for outstanding contribution to teaching. We are indeed lucky to have Professor Sakalkar as one of our faculty members. Apart from his significant contribution to academics, Professor Sakalkar is also the founder, member and chairman of the Vishnugupta project. This project is devoted to rural reconstruction with focus on reconciling economic development with environment conservation. Under this project, regular camps are conducted for students, teachers, social workers, doctors and executives in a lush green forest of more than 6,000 trees developed on a barren hill slope in Khed Taluka of Ratnagiri district in Maharashtra. Friends, I've had the opportunity of visiting this place, and yes, it has helped me understand the concept of sustainable development better. Without taking too much of your time, I would like to call upon Professor Sakalkar to share his thoughts on a very interesting topic which is going to be discussed today. Where do we go from here? A critical review of the suggestion by Stephen Hawking to colonize the space as the only solution for survival of the human race. Please welcome Professor Sakalkar.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
Actually, I'm standing here as a representative of a very small minority who are not only aware but also concerned about what's going to happen to your children. Essentially because we don't even have much time now left. So much so that one of the highest intellectuals produced by our society, namely Dr. Stephen Hawking, I hope at least some of you here have heard his name. The only person who is today authorized to occupy the Lucasian chair, which is once upon a time occupied by Sir Isaac Newton about 300 years back. This honor is given to the best scientist in mathematics and physics, and he has that honor. A person who is totally crippled, cannot even move his hands, legs, even his face. Such a person had such a developed brain that he came out with the publication of a book, The History of Time, in 1988. And I was fortunate to be one of the earliest readers of this very fantastic book. It's hardly 80 odd pages. And a very nice thing happened when I was going to buy this book. I read about it in a review, and the price that time was 55 rupees. So equipped with that much of money, I went over to see whether I can get it in the nearest bookshop. By the time I was going, I found that on the pavement, the way which is kept for you and me to walk by the side of the road, there was a line of books, and I am curious about these. So I looked at it and I thought that it's a brief history of time. And casually I asked him, what is the price like? And the guy surprised me by saying it's 11 rupees. The book was costing that time 55 rupees if you go to an authorized shop. But because this was an offset printing, somebody had played a trick on it and had got it probably unauthorizedly printed. And the cost was 11 rupees. You know, what should I do? I really would like someone to tell me this. Can you imagine what I did with it? I bought 5 copies. Idea essentially was, anyway I had decided on my, what we call in economics, of the indifference curve, that I would be spending 55 rupees for this book. I said, why not? 4 more of my friends will be benefited if they read that. And therefore I shelled out 55 rupees to that guy, buy 5 copies, 1 for me, 4 for any of them who come by chance first to me. And I was extremely happy to read that book. If you haven't read it, please do. It's worthwhile. And one more interesting thing about that book. In its introduction to that book, this man says, my publisher warned me that, look, in case you use one equation in your book, this is a book on physics, you write one equation in that book and half of your potential customers will be gone. And he said this was the condition with which I worked. And therefore I used only one single equation in that entire book. E is equal to mc square, the very famous Einsteinian equation, which shows that the energy and matter can be converted into each other's. That's the only equation that he uses. Please understand, to write a simple thing requires a tremendous amount of intelligence. He writes about physics, about time, about probably what we call as the time travel, And he comes to his own conclusions. All of these need not be acceptable to you. But the best part of it, that a person who was not from physics, who knew only probably the spelling of mathematics at that time, was not only in a position to understand but also enjoy that book. And then on the background of this particular event, when about a couple of months back, when I heard Professor Hawking telling us that the earlier we leave this earth and colonize the space, the better it will be. And by that what he sounded was something which was surprising to me. And probably by this statement, I am totally exposing what I have decided to talk on today. But let me take that risk. I never expected this kind of a statement from Professor Hawking. But he said, the kind of calamity, kind of catastrophe that we are facing today is unparalleled in the past. The earth has passed through many of these types of catastrophes in the past. Actually, there is a cycle also every 37,000 years in the path of the earth along with our sun, our star. When the earth comes to a stage on its elliptical path, after every 37,000 years, there is an ice age. Major part of the life on the earth is wiped out during this period, obviously because the temperature is very low and also there is a tremendous shortage of food. Now, not that these things are unknown on the earth, but now there is a basic difference. This particular catastrophe is not brought by nature. It is not something which is going to be a part of a routine in the life of the earth. As I said, every 37,000 years that happens, the ice age comes in. Major part of the life forms are killed in the process. The earth starts again back from whatever types of animals survive, and then it flourishes again. And this must have happened several number of times in the history of the earth. Then what is the difference? We are going to have one more calamity and the earth will stand it. Yeah. The earth will certainly stand it. But where will you and me be? The question is that. About 6 crores of years back in the history of the earth, a huge meteor hit the earth. Probably you are aware of the fact that the location is estimated to be the place wherein we have the water hole called as Lonar in Maharashtra. Because of which so much of dust was spilled into the air that for next 6 months the sun rays did not reach the earth. Result was that the trees which depend upon the sun rays for producing the food for you and me, they were all dead. The animals who lived on these trees, of course, had to die. Animals who lived on those animals had to die. And then the earth started again. 6 months later, the air was clear, the sun reached the earth, the sun rays lit the earth, and then the life started again. I repeat, but there is a very fundamental difference between the kind of problem that we are facing today and kinds of such calamities, such catastrophes, which the earth has today. And I'll not disclose the difference because I want you to find it out from what you taught. So take it as a kind of a quiz. What is the most basic difference between these kinds of catastrophes, these kinds of, shall we call as astronomical accidents that have taken place in the life of the earth? Records are available, not in terms of written records, that could be, but in terms of fossils and whatever material they require for studying prehistoric animals. That yes, lots of times the earth has suffered from this. So what is so smart? The geophysics now. That's a question which I'm here with you. Is that the reason because of which such a great soul as Stephen Hawking is so much worried about and says, well, let's run when there is time. I'll take care of that statement that falls out from this slightly later. And let's prepare ourselves mentally with this kind of a mindset. The basic difference between the two is something that, two in the sense, all those